guys, welcome to another episode of Watch and Roll. I'd like to remind you to subscribe, hit the bell notification button. It's a win-win situation. Today we have the full review of the Seiko MarineMaster Professional Black Tuna. The serial number is SBBN035. I know many of you already know this, but can't be a full review without all these details, right? So let me start with the history of the watch. Test built in 1975, the first Seiko Tuna watch was created in response to a letter the company received in 1968. A saturation diver from Kure City in Hiroshima, prefecture of Japan, has sent a complaint regarding Seiko diver watches, which the company had been making since 1965. These pre-Seiko Tuna models were not robust to impact and could not withstand exposure to deep water pressure for prolonged periods of time, mainly because of the mechanic movement inside. Divers' watches must withstand unlikely challenging conditions. Professional divers breathe helium mixed with oxygen at extreme depths where helium gets easily absorbed by a watch rubber seals. When divers go through the required decompression, helium is released through special escape valves in diver watches, without which the watch crystal would crack. Seiko engineers who read the letter took on the challenge to create the perfect professional diver's watch. These engineers, led by Ikuo Tokunaga, decided to develop the new Seiko Tuna watches for saturation diving from the start. Tokunaga and his team began development in 1968 and released the first Seiko Tuna watch with the high-end quartz 7C46, replacing the high-beat mechanical movement. It took 7 years and it has more than 20 patents. This quartz movement was specifically designed exclusively for this Tuna model, all in-house. Let me also remind you that Seiko produces absolutely everything in-house, from the jewels, the gaskets, the quartz crystals, to the oils they use for these watches. These Tunas were the first to feature a titanium monocoque case and the titanium shroud coated with ceramic. It was also the first to use an L-shaped gasket that prevents helium gas to get inside the watch, a smarter way instead of having a helium escape valve like the Swiss do. This Tuna is a result of historical technological achievement. It is a real watch made for a real purpose in real life. It became an icon for its effectivity, revolutionary technology, and not by a novelty. Let me use as example the Omega Seamaster. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the watch, I think it's a great watch, it's actually one of my grails. But what separates these two icons is that this Seiko Tuna became an icon organically from real life and real purpose. The Seamaster became an icon mainly because it was worn by James Bond in a movie, and people related the amazingness from the movie to real life. They think about all those gadgets used in the movie and all the awesomeness from the movie, and they bring it to real life, but in reality it's just a movie, it's fake. So this watch right here, it's a modern version of one of those Tunas. Of course, now there is several versions with depth ratings of 600 meters, 1000 meters. There's the high beat and there's the spring dry version. This is a 300 meter version, but it's a real MarineMaster Professional, and it features many of the characteristics used on the Tunas because, well, it's also real Tuna. Take a look on the proportions, the dimensions, and the design of this watch. Everything is created in perfect proportions, in my opinion. You can tell it is a watch with a lot of time and effort behind, and with a real purpose, which is to be a watch for diving. This watch, along from probably the Citizen ProMaster 1000, are one of those few in the world that are the realest diving watches in the world. The shape of a case, the shape of a shroud, the lugless design, the crown of the 4 o'clock position, everything is designed harmonious with the purpose to dive. And its design is so distinctive for its purpose. No other watch looks like the Tuna. Let's compare with, for example, the Rolex Submariner. Its case is not particularly unique in comparison with other watches. The crown at 3 o'clock is the standard and is not as effective nor comfortable than the Tuna. It's not particularly as legible as the Tuna and is also not as reliable as the Tuna. The same goes for the Omega Seamaster. The case design, chrome position, etc. are not particularly distinctive in the way this Seiko Tuna does. They look like normal watches. There's 1 million other watches that look similar way. That have similar cases, similar bracelets, and similar features. These are just some reasons why this MarineMaster Professional is so special, and it goes underrated. Seiko doesn't have the MarineMaster to be placed in movies or to be worn by athletes, artists, or that sort of publicity. It's a humble watch with honor. So let's take the measurements out of the way. Around 47 millimeters across the case, but because there's no lugs, I guarantee you almost anybody can wear it. I saw a guy saying, many people say the Tunas were smaller because the lugless design, it's a big watch and it wears as a big watch. Yes, it's a big watch, but it's a big watch that fits all the wrist. It's seriously wearable, guys. There is no lug sticking out your wrist. That's all you need, and it's meant to be big. You're wearing a Seiko Tuna. It's meant to be worn as a tuna. So around 15 millimeters thickness and 22 lug to lug. It is a stainless steel case coated with what Seiko calls a super hard coating. It is mainly all satin with some polish areas such as the case back, the outer parts of the screws, and this part on the shroud. We have a screw down crown, extremely easy to use with the Prospex logo. The bezel is a steel insert with ADLC, which is an amorphous diamond-like coating. We have engraved markings, just like for example the Oris Aquis, which talks about quality, and like this kind of triangle shaped crystal covered luminescent marker. And let me tell you, this bezel is one of the best bezels along with other Seiko Tunas I have ever tried in my opinion. Yeah, I have tried the Omega C Masters bezels and the Rolex Submariner bezels. The Rolex bezel does have a very amazing bezel action, but none of them has a bezel that inspires the level of solidity, efficiency, and quality that this has. This is a perfect amount of resistance, but it feels smooth at the same time. It simply feels more expensive. This Rolex Submariner just feels like a high-end but old type of bezel action. Going to the case back for a little bit, we have all this info that tells you the battery replacement periods. It has the iconic tsunami wave, and it tells you this is a helium gas diver. Inside we have a very special movement, which is the same movement used in the very first MarineMaster Tuna created with the quartz movement. The 7C46 quartz machine is only found and used in the Seiko Professional series quartz, namely the Tuna series and the prior professional ashtray models. Thus the 7C46 movement and the Tuna series cases were built with a specific purpose and intent in their specifications and ultimate design, and that was to be the best professional tool divers watch made. So nothing was spared or held back in their design or quality of manufacture. As we know, Seiko actually is the original father of this realized quartz technology that actually came out of the real world commercial diving industry as an answer to having a diver's watch that could handle the rigors of deep depth. They were designed with no cuts in quality or cost-saving materials at all, but rather have advanced scientifically developed components and material in their makeup. The 7C46 is a high-tech multi-joule movement with extremely high torque tolerances and high efficiency, built in over prior 7 series quartz movements, which enable the 7-joule gear train and pinions to motion and turns the hands in perfect sync to the energy poles with much less kinetic effort via the electronic step motors that powers them, thus making for a highly accurate and efficient full-size quartz machine to perform strongly with much less resistance. They also incorporate dual rate trimmers, which allow the watch to be perfectly synchronized for extreme accuracy, which aid in the longevity and add to their lifespan while running well within the stated accuracy specs. They also enjoy the added benefits of low drain electronics while providing high torque power to the gear train and oversized hand for optimal efficiency and extended battery life. As an added plus, this caliber also incorporates the end-of-life low battery warning feature of the seconds hand ticking at 2 seconds intervals when the battery voltage is low, thus alerting the owner it's time to replace the battery cell. They also provide the premium benefits of being designed in a full expanded size, The cases also provide enhanced antimagnetic gauze law and thermal compensational technology, as well as a full helium-nitrogen gas prevention and dispersional technology. They simply are just the perfect combination of the utmost in quality craftsmanship to easily handle the various extreme conditions of commercial diving found around the globe in any ocean environment. They also can be completely disassembled for cleaning and service many years down the road. That, together with other quality design features, therefore make this movement the absolutely highest quality advanced professional quartz diver watch movement in the world. These highly evolved movements, as well as the Tuna series professional diving watches cases and components, probably hold more advanced patents designs than any other watch in the world. Going back to the dial, we have the matte finish dial, but it's not like other matte dials. This is a subtle matte finishing. It even looks a little glossy at times. It is certainly a very clean matte dial. We have perfectly sized markers with a triangle at the 12 o'clock position as a reference when it's dark. Everything about this dial is so balanced and greatly designed. The Seiko logo is applied and it's crisp. We have a date wheel with a black background to match the dial. We have a perfectly aligned chapter ring. Talking about alignments, the second hand is aligned every single time. Sometimes it will look like it's not aligning because of the angle of the curvature of the crystal, but no, the second hand align every single time. A good way to prove this is if you place the watch in this angle and revise the positioning of the hand. The tolerances with the gear slack are very tight. When you pull out the crown, you will notice the quality. It feels so confident, there is no wobble. The lume, man, the lume. This lume is the brightest, most highest quality lume I ever seen on any watch. And finally, the crystal. It's a dumb Harlex crystal. It's not sapphire, and probably you think it's a turn off for a watch of this price point to have a Harlex crystal. Yes, it's a little strange. One argument was that Harlex was more shatter resistant than sapphire. I didn't mind honestly if it's Harlex. I would have rather sapphire, but actually experiencing this watch, I noticed the Harlex is not the same as other Harlex on cheap Seikos. First of all, it feels like a higher grade of Harlex, and one time I noticed that the water on this crystal behaves in a similar way as the sapphire on my Oris. So I wonder about the quality of this Harlex. Could it be a high grade of Harlex? If anybody knows in the comments, please let me know. This is the way it wears on my wrist. As I always say, I have the smallest wrist in the whole watch community unless you're a kid. So if I can wear it, you can wear it too. Overall, a legend, an icon, a real diving watch, result of real life situations. This watch feels of quality and is one of my favorites now. I only wish they will make a solar version of this movement and a sapphire crystal, and oh my goodness. That's all I have for you guys. Let me know what you think about it. I'll catch you later.